Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Grace Zuniga. I am the Director of Civic Art and Design here at the Houston Arts Alliance. We also have other members of our team on, and I will ask them to introduce themselves later as we get to questions so that we are sure to cover all of the information. Additionally, the communications team from the Houston Arts Alliance is on today, and they are moderating the chat. They've asked you if you would like to put your name in the chat along with your preferred pronouns. And then I also ask that everybody save their questions either for the end when we have a little bit of time for Q&A. And then also, as I'm going through all of the information, if you have a question, please put it in the chat. That way we can capture it and put it on the website as an FAQ. And then also just so that you remember, we can maybe look at the chat when we get to the point of questions. To that, I am going to mention just one note. I know I'm kind of going back on what I just said, but Allison Jagers is on the call, and she will be the project manager for this. And so I will, I just wanted to put her name out there as you move forward. Allison, do you want to go ahead and take a minute to introduce yourself and say hi?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Allison Jagers. I'm a project manager at HAA. Can you hear me okay? Is it working? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I'll be the project manager for this specific project, and I can help you with any questions or just kind of overseeing the process, making sure that this project goes smoothly. Yeah, and I'm excited to get started and get to know all of you.
Thank you, Allison. We also have Jocelyn on the call. She is our project coordinator. As your questions come in via our Civic Art at Zendesk email, Jocelyn is the one who is working with us behind the scenes to answer those questions. Jocelyn, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Jocelyn. I am the project coordinator here at the Houston Arts Alliance. Any questions you have, please feel free to shoot them to Zendesk, and I will get to them as quickly as I can. But yeah, let me know if you guys need any help, either it be technical or have any questions with the actual application, any clarification, feel free to contact us.
Great, thank you. And Jocelyn is also our Spanish speaking support. So if anybody needs to talk about anything in Spanish, she's able to help you and can translate anything for you. And then we also have on the call, and I know I said I was going to do this at the end, but might as well just do it now. We also have on the call with us from HAA's division, Linda Wu, who is the collection management and finance coordinator. So any payments that will be made in the future, she is the person who helps us in that space. Linda, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everybody, I'm Linda. I'm the finance admin, so I'll come into play later in the process, but happy to be here today.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to, we also have another team member on, another project manager, James Glassman, but he's not the project manager leading here. He's just on the call right now. So that is our internal team. I'm going to go ahead and share screen. We do have a presentation today. And we'll jump into all of the information. Again, if you have any questions, for those of you that just joined while we were doing introductions, please put them in the chat. And then we will have space at the end of the information session for you to ask any questions to us. I also want to mention that this is being recorded. I know a little dialog box popped up when you signed in, but should you need to revisit this information session, we will post this online at the Houston Arts Alliance website. So just that note. So I'm going to go ahead and start and share my screen. Can everyone see that okay? Okay.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we are here today to talk about the new Montrose Library. This library will be installed in the Montrose Collective development that is in the Montrose neighborhood that is happening currently for the Houston Public Libraries. And this is the first artist info session for this opportunity. And before we get into project specifics, I'm going to give everybody just a little bit of background about the Civic Art program that we work with through the City of Houston. And so the City of Houston Civic Art program is overseen by the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs. It was established in 1999 through a civic art ordinance that is currently in play. And so what this means is that the ordinance dedicates 1.75% of a city-funded construction project budget to create artworks or conserve existing artworks in the city civic art collection. Just another note, I've asked everybody to mute themselves through this presentation, please. So anytime the City of Houston is investing in a construction project, the ordinance means that 1.75% of that budget has to go towards civic art in that location for the construction project. Currently, the city's civic art collection includes over 800 pieces, and this encompasses a wide array of media forms and visual art disciplines. MOCA, the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs, who HAA works very closely with, develops policies and initiatives that foster an environment in which art and culture flourish for the sharing and benefit of all residents and visitors. And the primary objective of the Civic Art program is to enhance the urban environment through the inclusion of artist-designed elements in new municipal facilities, contributing to a sense of community pride. In this instance, the Houston Public Libraries is a sponsoring department. You'll hear me say sponsoring department very often through this process or as you read the RFQ. That means that the Houston Public Libraries, that sponsoring department is funding this project. The Houston Arts Alliance is a local arts and cultural organization, and our principal work is to implement the City of Houston's vision, values, and goals for its arts grant-making and civic art investments. Our work is conducted through contracts with the City of Houston and overseen by the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs. Let's see, I'm just gonna let okay. HAA also executes privately funded special projects to meet the needs of the arts community, such as disaster preparation, research on the state of the arts in Houston, and temporary public art projects that energize neighborhoods. In short, HAA helps artists and nonprofits be bold, productive, and strong. Sorry, I keep getting these. Thank you for letting people into the meeting. Again, so the sponsoring department for this opportunity is the Houston Public Library, and the Houston Public Library system is a dynamic organization that serves one of the largest areas, both in population and area in the country. 2.3 million residents in the City of Houston are the primary beneficiaries of a comprehensive customer-focused service delivery strategy. The Houston Public Library system is currently comprised of 44 public service units, including 31 neighborhood libraries, 5 regional libraries, 3 history research centers, and 4 express libraries. Also included the HPL Mobile Express and a satellite library located at the Children's Museum of Houston. So this current project and opportunity seeks artwork that will tell the story and history of Montrose through artwork that wraps the elevator core and an adjacent wall above the stairwell. A primary focal point as visitors enter the library, circulate from floor to floor, and engage with the library collection, services, staff, and community. The artwork that the project is looking for should be bold, vibrant, dynamic, and celebrate the historic nature of the Montrose neighborhood, have themes of literacy, communication, learning, inspiration, and collaboration. They also would like to celebrate the unique LGBTQIA+ history of the neighborhood, and celebrate the authentic blend of cultural courage, soul, and heart of Houston. They're looking for an artwork that is bright, warm, inviting, and has playful elements. So the next few slides, they're just some design renderings of the space to give you an idea of the artwork. And as we move through this process, we'll provide updated renderings or site plans that the construction project can provide to us. And so you can see here that this is the elevator shaft or bank, and the artwork will go here on the first floor. There's also this wall here that the artwork will go onto. This is another view of the wall where the artwork will go. And then other walls of the elevator. And this is another view of the elevator core from the interior stairwell. This project budget is $85,000. The project deadline for submissions for the RFQ is Monday, January 9th at 5 p.m. And the location of the project is, again, here in Houston. It's 1001 California Street, zip code 77006. And the eligibility is nationwide. And so we will be accepting RFQs from artists all over the nation. Okay, so as we move through this process, we just like to give you all an idea of the project requirements. These 6 requirements are part of a larger cultural plan that the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs has put together for the city of Houston. And these 6 requirements are specific to civic art. And so as we move through this process, although right now we are just in the request for qualifications space, as we move through this and semifinalists are selected, and then, eventually a finalist is selected, these are the requirements that we are looking at for artwork. So it should be family friendly, suitable for public display to a diverse and international audience. It has to be free of any safety hazards. It must meet or exceed City of Houston ADA requirements if that is applicable. Artwork should be resistant to graffiti and vandalism and require minimal maintenance. Artwork must have an expected lifespan of at least 20 years, and it should make a significant artistic addition to the City of Houston Civic Art Collection. So the eligibility for this, again, this opportunity is open to all artists and artist teams living and working in the United States over 18 years of age, and preference will be given to artists not currently represented in the City of Houston Civic Art Collection. Again, we maintain the collection management software. And so as panelists are looking through here, we're able to, reference who is currently in the collection and who is not, and provide that list typically to the panelists so that they know who has a work in the Civic Art Collection and who doesn't. If there are any gallerists that are interested in applying on behalf of artists, we ask that galleries, agents, and representatives submitting applications from more than one artist submit individual applications for each applicant. So, if you apply and have multiple artists on the same applicant, your submission will be marked ineligible. And then there are certain people that cannot apply and that are not eligible to apply for this opportunity. So any artist currently under contract with the City of Houston, or excuse me, with HAA for the City of Houston, for a City of Houston Civic Art Project cannot be eligible to receive a contract. It doesn't mean that you can't apply, but you cannot go into contract if you are currently under a contract. City of Houston employees, and then any elected city of officials, Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs staff and their immediate family, and then Houston Arts Alliance employees, board members, advisory members, and their immediate family. And so those are kind of the groups of people that cannot and will not be eligible for this opportunity. And then any applications that do not meet all eligibility criteria or application requirements will be withdrawn from consideration. So as mentioned earlier, the budget for this opportunity is $85,000, and we call this kind of internally a turnkey budget, meaning that the $85,000 will need to be thought of for any costs surrounding the artwork, artist fees, any design fees, if you're working with anyone to help you like render images, any material costs, looking at the space, potentially more lights need to go in to light the artwork correctly. So lighting is potentially part of the cost of this project. Any administrative costs that you might have as an artist, if you are, you know, living and working outside of Houston, you need to consider travel to come and see the space and then ultimately like create the artwork. And then any fabrication cost, installation needs, should you require a lift potentially to install this mural. These are all the costs that will be expected, and plus more potentially. So we have this list of required deliverables. This is all encompassing for all of our projects. And so, you know, there are things on this list that you might not need to consider regarding a budget for a two-dimensional or like mural application. And as we move through this project with the semifinalists and finalists, we can further define what these required deliverables are. So thinking about where we are now with a request of qualifications, it is truly what we are asking for. We are not asking at this time for any of your ideas of what can be put or placed in this location. And so the application requirements for this call are an artist resume or CV with, if you're working on an artist team, we'll need that relevant information for any of the key team members. And then if you are working on an artist team, you can upload 3-page maximum resume or CV for each person. An artist bio of 250 words max or under 2 minutes. One of the biggest changes that we are moving forward with this opportunity is that we're giving artists the option to upload a video. But I will caution those that want to use this that you are not using the platform for video to upload like sound pieces or video pieces. Like the video that's uploaded for the artist bio, the statement of intent, and the artist statement need to be defined by your artist bio, a statement of intent, and an artist statement. We are working toward, you know, as we get these, as we get the applications in, we are viewing them. And, you know, should we click on an artist bio video and it is a sound piece or it is, you know, I don't know, performance piece, we will contact you and let you know that you have 3 business days to upload the correct video with the correct information. Otherwise, you will be marked as ineligible. Or your application will be marked as complete, and the panelists, because the panelists won't have what they need to review your application. So again, an artist bio, 250 words maximum or under 2 minutes. We're also asking for a statement of intent. A statement of intent is really like your opportunity to express and demonstrate your personality, your professionalism, you know, what opportunities you've done and completed in the past to qualify you to move on and prove that you can see a project through, you know, a 2-story mural. Like, what have you done in the past? And what projects have you completed in the past that can show your qualifications? What is your enthusiasm for this project? Do you have a really close connection to the neighborhood? Do you have a really close connection to the libraries? Do you have a really close connection to Houston in the neighborhood? Like, this is your time to really talk about like why you as an artist in this space. And then we also ask for an artist statement. An artist statement is different from the statement of intent in the sense that it talks about your artwork and the concepts of your artwork. What are your driving ideas for your artwork? How did you start as an artist? Like, what information can you provide to the panelists to inform the images that they will be looking at? And so we ask for a 500-word maximum or under 3-minute artist statement. And then lastly, we're asking for digital images of completed work. You can submit up to 10 images. And when you're in the submittable platform, there's 10 opportunities for you to upload this information. Under each upload, you also have the opportunity to include information about, your artist name, the title of the piece, the year it was completed, the dimensions, any material that you're using, if this piece was commissioned and who it was commissioned by, and then a budget or price to get an idea of kind of how you price your work. And so these are the 5 major application requirements. So for our applications, we else the Submittable platform. Submittable is a separate platform from our website or from anything else that we use. You will have to create an account via Submittable if you don't have one already. It's free to do that. You will then, you can work on your application a little bit at a time. You don't have to do it all at once. But we do ask that you read the application requirements carefully because there are very specific requirements in order for the panelists to review. So again, you will need to create a submittable account, and then anything that's emailed to us or emailed to our help email, all of those will not be considered. All materials must be submitted via submittable. You can scan this here to take you to that directly. You can also visit the website under public art opportunities, and this current opportunity is present. So getting into the selection process a little further. So again, right now we're at a RFQ space. And so the panelists will just be looking at the works that you have completed to date. What have you as an artist created and completed that the panelists can see your aesthetic, your technique, your use of material, how you use texture, etc. And this first part of the process is reviewed by a panel of 3 arts professionals. And they look at the following criteria. They look to see if the artist's work demonstrates a unique voice, perspective, or aesthetic. Does the artist's submission demonstrate their ability to create site-specific artwork, which responds to the history, culture, and identity of the surrounding community, which is, in this case, the Montrose neighborhood. And then does the artist's work demonstrate an artistic voice, perspective, or aesthetic that is not substantially represented in the current collection? We will also give them the prompts that Houston Public Library has provided for us, just so that they can keep that in mind when they're reviewing artworks. So after the RFQ portion, The panel of 3 arts professionals will select 3 semifinalists. Those semifinalists will be contracted to create proposals, which we will then move into request for proposals space or stage rather. And again, there will be 3 semifinalists selected for this proposal. There is I believe it's a $1,500 stipend. So the semifinalists get paid $1,500. Then they can take those renderings that we showed earlier and they can really apply their vision to that space in the stage of request for qualifications. And then our process is such that we go through, very similar to an RFQ. The semifinalists present their ideas. 1 finalist is chosen out of the 3 semifinalists, and then they enter into a final design and a construction contract through and with HAA. And selected artists must be able and willing to sign contracts for design and commission. And we have provided samples of these contracts in the application guidelines and then also on our website. So our current timeline, and again, dates are subject to change when you're working with a construction project, things shift, although we try to keep it as tight and close as possible. There are shifts, and of course, we will notify everybody in the process as to what those changes may be. And so we are currently on the first bullet point. We'll have a second info session December 20th. This will be both Zoom and in person. The location is still TBD. We're working with the Houston Public Library to designate a location to have an in-person artist info session. For those of you that are local, if you need to, you're more than welcome to join us then as well. And then we ask that the deadline for questions be December 21st. So again, within the RFQ, there's our Zendesk help email. So if any questions arise after this, or if you're working through the submission and something comes up, please be sure to email us there. And then the RFQ submission deadline is Monday, January 9th at 5 p.m. This will close and then we'll get into the panel process. Right now we have RFQ notifications going out Friday, January 20th. So either you'll get a declination letter or you will get a semifinalist acceptance letter. And then the following applies to the artists that, or the semifinalists that advance to the request for proposals phase. So the days that we send out acceptance, we'll also send out the RFP or the request for proposals. And we currently have that deadline on February 20th. And then that week, we will schedule out artists' proposal presentations and work toward, we submit the recommended artists, and that has to be signed off on by the City of Houston and the Mayor's Office, or excuse me, the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs and the sponsoring department. And then we'll get into like the fun part where the artist is creating the work and completing the mural. One thing that I did not necessarily mention is while we keep saying the word mural, I know that the sponsoring department is also open to other elements, other two-dimensional elements, whether that's like lighting or projection or some kind of like electrical lighting component that could potentially work in tandem with a two-dimensional piece on the wall. And so it really is open to interpretation for the artists once we get into a request for a proposal stage. But something just I wanted to like put out there for those of you that may work two-dimensionally, but with other materials as well. So I just wanted to review also some frequently asked questions that we get pretty commonly. So question number 1 is, what is an RFQ? A request for qualifications is an open call, and it's the first phase of 2 phases of the artist selection process. So the application requires an artist or artist team to provide information and images on prior works. Again, we're not asking you to submit your ideas or your concepts for this exact specific location. That will come in the next phase of this. Additionally, the artist will be asked to provide a short statement of intent, where you can provide a personal understanding of the project goals and the site and an explanation of why your work would be appropriate for this project. The panel will select semifinalists from the RFQ applicant pool, and 3 will advance into the request for proposals phase. So the request for proposals is the second phase of a 2-phase artist selection process to determine awardees for a commissioned project. Semifinalists will be chosen by a panel, and again, like the RFQ, there will be a panel of the RFP stages, then 5. We add a community representative and then a representative from the sponsoring department. And this requires that an artist provide all the necessary and pertinent information regarding the project that they're proposing to the panel. So once an artist moves into a semifinalist stage, they were able to give us exactly what their idea is for the space. They will also have to provide a budget breakdown, any renderings, and material samples that are applicable to your proposal. Again, the proposal stipend is awarded to the semifinalists, and then the panelist picks the top scoring artists to recommend to the City of Houston and sponsoring department. The other important questions for this is, what is a 2D work? So a 2-dimensional artwork is classified as a piece of work that can be hung on a wall or similar surface and not exceed 4 inches in depth per ADA guidelines. And then a 3-dimensional work is classified as a piece of work that is freestanding in the round and complies with ADA guidelines. So in this sense, while potentially the mural could have a small relief that does not exceed 4 inches, this work is not calling for anything that's in the round or sculptural. Yeah. So then we have a full list of FAQs on our website, and this is just kind of a snapshot of what this looks like when you go to HAA, the HAA website. At the bottom of our public artist opportunities, there's a resource section, and you can click on for FAQs and then sample agreements and sample artist budgets. Then you can also download the document here. So again, we ask that all questions come into the Houston Arts Alliance. We ask that you do not contact the City of Houston's Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs, and that you direct all inquiries to us with the subject line RFQ Montrose Library. And then that is our help email. It's civicart@haatxhelp.zendesk.com. So at this time, I'm going to go to the last screen and just say thank you. These QR codes, you can link to our Facebook or Instagram. You can sign up for a newsletter, or you can visit our website for all opportunities. And at this time, I'm going to open it up for any questions that anyone may have regarding the information I just gave. Or if there are any in the chat. I wasn't able to look at the chat.
Good day, my name is Guillermo Ortiz, and I want to clarify, you mentioned that there is going to be a stipend of $1,500 to create the proposal. Is this considered a part of the budget of the $85,000, or is this separate?
It's separate. So the $1,500 is a stipend for the 3 semifinalists to create the proposal. They will then present, and then the commissioning artist will go into the 2 contracts, the final design and the construction contract. And those 2 contracts is the $85,000 for the project budget. Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Are there preferred engineering firms or insurance agencies that you recommend?
So we don't have preferred vendors. We do have vendors that we've worked with or artists have worked with in the past. And if any artist reaches out to us and, you know, they need an insurance broker to work with, or they need referrals for engineers, we have those names. Although you don't necessarily have to use them, but we do have that resource for artists should you need that contact information. There is a question I see here. Yes, we are going to download this as a PDF, and we'll email it out to the participants registered today. Noberto, I see your hand up.
Hi, I work with Ronnie. She's the artist. I'm her husband. We do HTX art here in the East Extension neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And I'm on this call on her behalf. She had another meeting to attend. So I know she's going to have questions. So thank you for sharing the PDF version of this. And my question was about so if I'm understanding correctly, this budget that you have of $85,000 for this turnkey project, it is a collaboration between artists. Am I understanding that correctly? Or is one person's going to be awarded the whole day?
Just one person will be awarded, one artist or artist team. So let's just say that an artist collective applies and they move on and they get awarded and there's 3 people in that collective, then that would be the artist team that moves forward with the commission. If an artist is a singular artist, it would be that one person.
What constitutes an artist team? Can I form a team of artists that already work together, or does it have to have an official stamp of approval, or how does that work?
No, it really is, you know, if your wife has a collaborator that she wants to work with, or, you know, she has 3 artists that they've always wanted to do something together and this is the opportunity, then like that would be the artist team that would apply under one application. So there aren't really any constraints. I would just say that, you know, we've gotten this question before where maybe there was like 12 people who were a collective that wanted to apply for something. And I would just be very clear as whose role, because, you know, you usually need somebody who's going to like lead the application, who's going to sign the contract. And so really just define in that statement of intent, like what the roles are going to be for the collective.
Would the statement of intent be the same for all the artists if they're working in a collective, since they all have to apply individually?
So no, so artist collective it would be one application. So the only additional needs would be for, I don't know, let's use your wife's team as an example. There's 3 of them. This is hypothetical. Okay. They would each need to upload their CV in one application. So we would want a CV for each of them. And then the statement of intent and the artist statements would be one document for the collective.
You said this $85,000 was a percentage of the construction budget. What percentage was that?
1.75%.
And that's for all public libraries or city construction, or what was it?
That's for all civic art opportunities for the capital improvement projects. So it's like, yeah, CIP is the capital improvement project. So the ordinance states that 1.75% of these construction projects must go to civic art.
Thank you so much for answering all my many questions.
Yeah, you're welcome. I see another hand raised, Guillermo.
Yes, and thank you for the acknowledgement. Could you please discuss how the budget, the overall budget, relates to the maintenance program that was mentioned? I read that it's supposed to be designed to be endure 20 years, and also there's going to be a maintenance component to this. Could you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, so as we move through these opportunities and artists apply, we have to think about how the artwork is going to exist in a public space, right? And so For a mural, for example, in a public space, there's usually like an anti-graffiti coating that we would apply that would be part of the budget. And so artists will be required to come up with a maintenance plan. Does it need an annual dusting? Does the anti-graffiti material need to be reapplied once a year? If there are electrical units, like do the LEDs need to be replaced every 5 years? But I will say that plan is created by the artist, and then the anti-graffiti coating would be applied to the mural. And then after the artwork is accepted by the city of Houston, it is the requirement of the sponsoring department, so in this instance, the Houston Public Library, to maintain the artwork. And so it is not the responsibility after it has been selected and accepted by the city of Houston. It is not the responsibility of the artist to maintain the artwork. They only need to provide us what that plan will be. And of course, we've been in instances where the artist wants to be involved in that maintenance, like maybe they need to be in communication with us, but it's not their financial responsibility.
Thank you for the answer, and that was very clear.
Yeah, no problem. Anything else? Okay, Taylor, I see another hand up.
Are we supposed to add like the actual description of like the artwork in the artist statement?
I would think of as an artist statement as, like, think about the images that you'd want to upload, right? Like you have 10 images that are kind of, they're comprehensive of your work to date as an artist. And I would really think about the statement as being able to further express the ideas that you're trying to convey within those works, right? Like, what are your overall concepts and themes? What are your materials that you use? Why are they relevant to your concepts and themes? Is there any like historical information that you can provide that speaks to your work? And so I would really think about the artist statement as a continued verbal or written continued expression of the images that we'll be viewing, or the panelists will be viewing, that you're uploading. Does that help?
So basically it's just like the image description list, except y'all want like a little bit more detail and context behind each one of the works that we submit.
Yeah, give us a why about the body of work.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Chelsea, I see your hand raised.
Hi there. So I'm wondering if in a proposal, say the concept is mine, most of the construction is mine, but I do commission another artist who has another area of expertise to do a section of it, how might they go about being included in the proposal? It's not so much an artist collective, so I'm not sure how to address that.
I would include them, I would include their CV along with yours. And then in the statement of intent, I would just explain what that relationship is. Kind of like where, and I would also, I would also think about like, are the images that you're uploading showing examples of what this collaborative is or has, what you all have worked on in the past. That way you can like further explain their role in the work.
Okay. And then if there is an aspect of the design, in addition to the 2D element that incorporates social sculpture, would it be appropriate to show images of that? Because it's not so much something tangible as something happening.
Can you explain that a little further? I don't know if I completely understand.
Sure. So for example, if there is an interactive component that takes place both online and in person, that you're seeing in addition to what is on the walls, is that something that you would like images of, or would that be something where it's best to just read about it?
I would say that it might benefit you more to upload images of actual work.
Okay.
Rather than like process shots of your techniques or your like collaboration, and just speak to it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to add one thing to your note, Chelsea. This is still the request for qualifications phase. And so any work that's submitted like as a proposal for the site would be considered like in the next phase, in that proposal phase. Just wanted to like clarify that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Allison. And then I see some other questions in the chat. Can you submit both video and written answers for the application? Do they need to be either or and not mixed? It would probably be better if it was one or the other. For the panelists' sake, to like flip through like audio and visual. But I believe you have the option to do either or, but I would strongly suggest, like, if you're going to write everything out, just write it out. If you're going to do video, just do all video.
Right now, the option is that you can only do one or the other.
Per each entry. Yeah. Yeah, so you can't, so for the artist statement, you can't upload a written statement and a video submission. You have to choose. But again, I would keep it consistent. Like if you're going to do video for artist statement, I would do video for all of them, and vice versa. So the other question is, if an artist is already in the City of Houston's art collection, are they automatically disqualified, or do they have the chance to even be considered, or should they not even enter? So definitely, if an artist is under contract, currently working on a commission project, they are not eligible to move forward. If they are already in the Civic art collection, I would absolutely still apply. It doesn't mean that you will not be considered. There are artists in the collection that have multiple pieces. And so it's not that you're automatically disqualified. It's just that we do provide a list to the panelists and give them the opportunity to view artists who might not be in the collection or might not be, their demographic not be represented in the collection. So it's not an automatic disqualification unless you were currently under contract. So I would say yes, absolutely apply for the opportunity, even if you are. And I see that Jocelyn answered those, so thank you, Jocelyn. I just saw them a little later. Are there any other questions today for us? I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Okay, well, if there aren't any questions, we thank you for your time today. We look forward and wish you good luck with the application process. And again, we are here should you need anything or need any technical questions answered, or any questions that you may have regarding this opportunity. So we look forward to seeing your submissions, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.